Junie B. Jones, first grader, boss of lunch. Chapter 7, Jobs. Pretty soon, Mrs. Goodsme told me all about my jobs. You're going to have 3 fun jobs today, Junie B., she said. I think you're going to like all of them. She took me to the long counter where the children push their lunch trays, and she showed me where the napkins go. Your first job will be to keep napkins stacked up right here on the countertop. If the napkin piles start to run out, just reach under the counter and get more, okay? Do you think you can do that for me, Junie B? I nodded real fast. Yes, I said. I know I can do that, Mrs. Goodsman, because I'm already familiar with napkins. I smiled real proud. I use napkins at my very own house, I said. I use them to wipe my mouth after dinner, plus sometimes I use my sleeve. Mrs. Goodsman looked funny at me. After that, she handed me a sponge and took me to the counter by the sinks. Okay, your second job will be to keep this big counter wiped off. You don't have to clean any big messes, Junie B. Just wipe up any little spills or crumbs that you see. I grinned real big. Sponges are another job I'm good at, Mrs. Goodsman, because one time in kindergarten, I practiced throwing sponges in my toilet, and I didn't even miss the pot hardly. Mrs. Goodsman's face went kind of pale. Oh, she said. Oh my. After that, her voice sounded a little bit worried. Well, there's just one more job I need to tell you about, she said. Do you see that door over there? That's where the children come in the kitchen to get their lunches. Yes, I said. I see it. Well, when you're not busy with your other jobs, I'd like you to be our lunch greeter, she said. Do you know what a greeter is, Junie B? A greeter smiles at people and says hello. Do you think you could do that? This time, I didn't answer her right away, because that job made my stomach feel lumpy inside. Yeah, only there's children I don't even know in this school, Mrs. Goodsman. And some of them are big kids, and big kids are not my favorite size. Mrs. Goodsman did a chuckle. Don't worry, Junie B, she said. I think you'll find that there are lots of very nice big kids at this school. Could you just give it a try, please? I shrugged my shoulders, kind of weakish. I don't know. Maybe I could, I said. Mrs. Goodsman gave me a pat. That's the spirit, she said. Now there's just one more thing we need to talk about before you get started. Then guess what? She reached under the counter and she gave me another pair of mitts. I quick held up my hands for her to see. But I'm already wearing mitts, Mrs. Goodsman. See them? You already gave them to me yesterday. I know. These are brand new ones, Junie B. Around here, we change our plastic mitts quite often. That's how we keep from spreading germs. We're constantly washing our hands and changing our mitts. I scratched my head. No kidding, I said. Really? You mean I'm supposed to wash my hands plus wear mitts? My, that's a lot of hygiene, isn't it? Mrs. Goodsman did a teensy frown. Then she took me to the sink and she washed my hands real good. After they were dry, she put the new mitts on me. Whoa, I said. These are the cleanest hands I ever saw. After that, I skipped back to the counter and I began stacking napkins. Pretty soon, the kitchen started getting smells in it. I sniffed the air. The smells were not delicious. P.U., I said kind of quiet. Mrs. Goodsman looked over at me. I held my nose. I smell stinkle, I said. Mrs. Goodsman did not look happy. Holding your nose isn't sanitary, Junie B. Now you'll have to change your mitts again. I kept on holding my nose. Yes, but if I let go of my nose, The stinkle will get in my nostrils, I explained, and that smell is not delightful. Mrs. Goodsman looked annoyed at me. Well, you're smelling our lunch today, Junie B. We're baking tuna noodle casserole. We're going to be serving it with carrots and peas. I made a sick face. Block, I said. I hate peas. It's a good thing I brought my lunch today, right, Mrs. Goodsman? At least now I can get a decent meal. Mrs. Goodsman still looked grumpy. She came over and changed my mitts. After that, I stacked more napkins, and I tried to just breathe through my mouth. Chapter 8, Lunchtime. Being a helper is not a breeze. After the lunch bell rang, big kids started coming into the kitchen. 2 of them pointed at my hairnet. They called me the name of Freakazoid. I felt very crumbling inside. Now I'm not even going to greet you, I said real quiet. After that, I tattletaled to Mrs. Goodsman, and she grouched at those boys. Plus also, she said I didn't have to greet people. Instead, she said I could sponge the counter. I hurried over there my fastest. Then I sponged and sponged until the big kids were gone. Pretty soon I looked at the door again, and guess what? I saw my friends from room 1. I saw Herb and Lenny and Jose and Shirley and Roger. They were at the counter with their trays. I ran over them speedy quick. Hello, everyone. Hello, hello. Look at me. See me working in here? I am being a helper, see? All of them smiled and waved. Hi, Junie B, they said. I skipped around in a circle. See my outfit? I am a real professional lunch maker. See? I look like Mrs. Goodsman. I showed them my sponge. And look at this. I even have equipment. After that, I ran back to the sinks and I showed them how I wiped the counter. Can everyone see me over here? I asked. I am the boss of this whole entire sponged area. After that, I zoomed to the napkins. Plus also, I'm the boss of the napkins, I said. See how I stacked them? If I keep up the good work, someday I will be the boss of this whole entire operation, probably. Just then, May came in the door. She did a mean laugh. You're not a real lunch maker, Junie Jones, she said. They're just letting you pretend. Don't you know that? All of a sudden, I felt steamy mad inside, because I am sick and tired of that dumb girl. I stamped my foot real hard. Yes, I am too a real lunch maker, I said. Can't you even see my outfit, May? If I'm not a real lunch maker, then how come I'm wearing mitts and a hairnet, huh? May did not answer. I'll tell you why, sister, I said. Because I'm keeping hair and germs out of the tuna noodle stinkle. That's why. Behind me, I heard Mrs. Goodsman groan. I turned around to see her. Her face looked very sickish. I turned back to room 1. Their faces looked sickish too. One by one, all of them put their lunch trays back. I don't really feel that hungry anymore, Herb said kind of quiet. Me neither, said Jose. I had a really big breakfast. Then, very slow, all of the children started backing out of the kitchen. I watched them from the door. They backed all the way to our lunch table. Mr. Scary was waiting for them there. He talked to them a minute. Then he came into the kitchen and talked to Mrs. Goodsman. They whispered to each other for a real long time. Also, they kept looking at me, and they wouldn't even stop. My head got drops sweaty on it. I wiped it off with my sponge. After that, Mrs. Goodsman closed her eyes again. Then she walked to me very nice, and she took away my sponge, and she said my job was done. Chapter 9, Baloney.